so many leagues start their seasons off at Daytona. Heck, we even had a NASCAR-style series do it on Tuesday. To break the mold, however, NARL comes to Daytona tonight to finish the season off in spectacular fashion, and this is a must-race, can't-miss event. Welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Daytona Beach, Florida. My name is Andrew Cardinale IV with Zachary King alongside, and it's a pleasure to join you for continuing coverage of the North American Racing League GT3 Season number 7. Tonight's coverage from Daytona is brought to you by Muradness, by JS Consulting, and by Screw Compressor Service Incorporated. We've got some sunny scenes here in Daytona, Florida, but if we flip on over into the session, as we're going to do here in about 2 seconds, you'll see it is anything but sunny at the racetrack. It is cloudy, it is foggy, we are in for a treacherous event. The saving grace is that in North American Racing League sessions, there will never be any rain. So, rain is turned off, but I tell you, Zach, if rain was turned on, this would be a muddy, slippery mess of a racetrack right now. As we take a look at the track map, this place would be absolutely chaotic, even more treacherous than it already is. But Zach, as we take a look at this track map, this is a little different from where you guys started started the season off for the BRB Racing League on Tuesday. We've got a couple of added turns.
Yeah, so tonight we have 12 turns here at this Daytona International Speedway, the World Center of Racing. Opened in 1959 for stock car racing. I believe started in the 1980s with sports car and IMSA racing. 12 turns, so taking the turns 1 and 2, you're going to be reaching speeds of almost 190, 180. And then going into both international horseshoes, the West and the East, or the East and then the West, included with the kink. Then you're going to go through Speedway 1 and 2, as it's called, which will be turns 7 and 8, then all the way down to the bus stop, the Lamar Chicane. Once you get through there, and then it's just a straight shot to the start-finish line, try to gain as much momentum as you can through turns 11 and 12, or Speedway 3 and 4. And that's a lap at Daytona. Should be an interesting battle tonight.
Now, admittedly, we loaded the broadcast machine a little bit, like, right at the last second. There's some storms in the North Carolina area impacting us today. We didn't want to take any unnecessary risks, and we waited till the last second to turn things on just in case there's some kind of power surge. So, we're going to intro this pretty quick. Let's take a look at the point standings. These are important, and we will revisit these throughout the course of the evening because David Schwartz is on top of division number 1 with no win this season. Scott Reister also no win. He's 7 back, but in between those two, Ken Copeland, who won the series opener at VIR, he sits in second, just 4 points back. And then newcomer Thorsten Ulrich, who's got 3 wins on this 7-race season so far, is only 13 points out of first. He is one to watch. Thomas Rayleigh in the conversation. Ignacio Castagnine, kind of probably the last driver that has a chance tonight at the championship, and that would take a big long shot. Really, we're watching the top 3, David Schwartz, Ken Copeland, and Scott Reister in division number 1. If we flip over to division number 2, we can take a look at how complicated things are there because it's even more wide open. Mitch Buenaventura, Dominic Turcotte, Chris Winstone, Lucas Finko, and Kevin Peak are your 5 drivers in this thing for a championship. Single digits through your top 4, and nearly single digits through your entire top 5 down here in division number 2. And to remind you all watching about how points are earned in this series, they are scored overall per their overall finish. They're given points based on their overall finish in the race and then broken into their respective classes. So these division 2 guys are racing the division 1 guys 4 points. They're just being split down into division number 2. So expect some of these D2 guys to be aggressive tonight. They need to get all the points they can, especially if they're in that top 5. The D1 guys just have to draft battle and survive the fuel saving over the course of this 1-hour race. Qualifying is underway. 5 minutes left to go in the session. But first, we have to take a look at the weather conditions because we can tell the fog is here. It is foggy. It's hard to see the racetrack. 73 degrees in the air, 75 on track, and it's going to keep some of that temperature in as well. So even if the winds kick up and try to cool this place down, it's going to stay relatively, and I say relatively warm. It's not too hot at all. 75-degree track temp is almost a dream for these guys in normal conditions, but it is going to be slippery out there. The humidity is going to impact these drivers, and it's going to be chaotic. With that said, into qualifying we go, and this is where Mason Houseman would take us for a lap around the track. Usually, Mason not able to make it this evening, so we'll just kind of walk around and see who's where right now. Eduardo Pecorini on top of things. Yannick Steinhoff, a very close second. And how about third place, Ignacio Castagnine there? Very close together. They're only split up by about 1/100, 1/10 of a second. Ignacio Cassanin just over that 1/10 mark. David Schwartz a little further back. Sam Soyd in 5th. Scott Reister in 6th. So drivers that we're watching for the championship, of course, David Schwartz, Scott Reister, and Ken Copeland. Let's see, Schwartz is 4th, Reister is 6th, and Copeland is down in 14th. So just an early look at qualifying already. Copeland is in some trouble, but the Acura here of Scott Reister is looking quick. Zach, he's in 4th, just edging ahead of David Schwartz for now.
They try to advance on his time here. He's only down 2/10 from pole. Runs a little wide in the East Horseshoe. He goes through the kink here. Flat out. All the way down to the West Horseshoe. All right, he might have a good lap here.
It's difficult for these Acuras to have the times of these other cars because, as we've documented over the course of the season, the Acura just doesn't have the top-end speed. Based on this fixed setup that these drivers are on, they simply cannot get up to the same top speed as other cars. So they are kind of handicapped a little bit, making it more difficult for the Acura drivers to contend in a qualifying session like this. But in the draft, we'll see if they can hang on or if they're capped out and if they fall back over the course of this race. There's Scott Reister headed into the Le Mans chicane now. David Schwartz is coming around the final quarter to complete his next and final lap. Eduardo Pecorini goes faster, a 1:44.956. Schwartz trying to beat that. He's not going to do it. Let's see. Ken Copeland is still down the order. He is now 16th behind Division 2 pole sitter Ismail Elahi. So Copeland, starting deep in this field, has got a lot of work to do, and Scott Reister has bailed on his final lap. He will start, it looks like, in 4th position unless somebody like Bruce De Carvalho can go faster. Bruce sits in 9th. Mark Reynolds sits, Bruce sits in 8th. Mark Reynolds is in 9th, and Mark Reynolds is calling it a day. He comes into the pit lane there. So we look for our next driver with a shot at pole, one of them being Alex DeMarco, but he's calling it a day in qualifying. He comes into the pit lane. Maybe Christian Gritzko can go for a long shot pole award. He's 33rd right now, looking for a better time, looking to get closer to that pole position. And here he comes to the stripe.
At the stripe, is it going to be enough? Not enough. Still about a 1.5 seconds off of pole. Did not advance on his time there.
I'll look here at Chow Trin, 34th quick so far in this session, looking to bump up through the tri-oval and to the stripe. Car number 88 is going to advance on his previous time, but not by a whole lot. He will actually stay in 34th spot, will gain no positions, but did gain some time on the cars ahead, and that at least should make him feel a little bit better going into this race session. There's Daniel Kavanaugh. He will call his run a day, getting 3 laps that did not count. That is always painful when you go out there and try all 3 laps, but none of them count. You get an off track somewhere, likely the bus stop. That is a pain for sure. Qualifying just about done, wrapping up, and look at the scenes here at Daytona. I know it's foggy, and maybe it doesn't look that great because of that, but the sky looks epic. iRacing has done a fantastic job as of late, updating things and making these weather conditions look better, actually. This is a beautiful scene. The sun glinting off of Lake Lloyd there in the infield. This is really cool, something you don't see very often here on the iRacing.com sim. But if you go back and look over the course of the schedule, I mentioned Ken Copeland won back at Virginia, VIR, to kick the season off. Then he went to Portugal, Miami, Le Mans the first half of the season, Detroit, Monza, and Atlanta since then. And now Daytona here. Zach, this has been one crazy schedule. Daytona could be the craziest.
Daytona is always the craziest. The emotions change when you get to Daytona because it is Daytona, and everybody, when you come to Daytona, you want to win a Daytona. And you'll even hear it from Cup drivers or IMSA drivers. They'll say they want to win at Daytona, either it's for Rolex or just for pride and joy, the Harley Gerald Trophy. This will shape up into a fantastic race and a great finale. I think it's a great spot here at the last race of the season.
Usually a season opener, but I like it here for the finale. Oh boy, that sunset is looking even better. We could race into the night this evening here for this season finale. Wouldn't that be a treat? Weather conditions have changed a little bit. They've cooled down a little bit, and it looks like the fog might be lifting, so we'll monitor that over the course of the race. And oh my gosh, that is to die for. That is really cool. iRacing, good job there, bravo. But let's take a look at the Lucky Performance starting grid on pole this evening. Of course, we talked about it a little bit there in qualifying. Eduardo Pecorini in the number 47 will roll off from first. Yannick Steinhoff from second place in a McLaren, starting from, and actually, that's an Acura on pole, so impressive job there by Eduardo Pecorini. While the Acura might have a slight disadvantage, he still overcame it in the infield and the bus stop to put it on pole position. That is a solid job over the McLaren of Yannick Steinhoff. Ignacio Castignin in a Lamborghini will start from third. Scott Reister in an Acura from fourth. Starting fifth, it's David Schwartz, points leader coming into tonight. He'll roll off to the inside of Sam Soyd. Starting seventh, it's Michael Brooks. Bruce De Carvalho in eighth. And ninth and 10th, Mark Reynolds and Paulo Goday. Now, usually here, Zach, we would throw you to the wolves, but I know your PC recently got fried. I'm not going to force you to read off your small screen that you're on this evening and try to go through the grid. I'll handle this for you. I'm throwing you a bone here. Adam Brockway and Thomas Rayleigh will start 11th and 12th here. Still in division number 1, but we find our first division number 2 driver in the 13th position, Ismail Elahi in the 025. He will roll off 13th spot and on pole in division number 2. Scott Kimbrough rolls off 14th. Ricardo Delgado, former Division 2 champion, from 15th spot. Ken Copeland, one to watch. He is trying to fight for that championship from second in the points. He rolls off 16th. Starting 17th, Edgar Ruiz. Andy Ray Miller from 18th spot. 19th and 20th, Kevin Gill and Dean Kerr. Dean Kerr is the third, only the third Division 2 driver on the grid through this point. Lucas Souza, Division 1 driver, starts from 21st. Chris Winstone, 22nd. Starting 23rd, Santiago Serena. Jose DeLeo from 24th spot. Good to see him back. Starting 25th, it's Jake Browder. Mike Braun from 26th. On down through your top 20, Lucas Finco, Mitch Buenaventura, Dominic Turcotte, and Kevin Peake through 30th spot. Craig Bray starts from 31st. Alex DeMarco, 32nd. And then Christian Gritzko and Chao Trin. Robert Rodignoli, Scott Angelo, Thorsten Ulrich at the very back of the field, and Daniel Kavanaugh from 38th spot. Quickly, your race details brought to you by Whiplash Sim Cams. Here we go. This is a 60-minute sprint race with fixed setups, 55% fuel load, 15 incident limit, and then every 5 thereafter. This is going to be a crazy race, Zach. I hope you're ready. I know it's your first road race broadcast, but hey, we're happy to have you here and happy to get this race started here in just a moment as the field rolls into the Geico restart zone. Let's turn the music down, turn the engines up. We are racing, and already a chaotic start there at the green, but let's dive down to turn number 1. Through the first corner, into the S's, and towards the International Horseshoe. Lap number 1, the whole field as a collective into that first real, well, second real corner, if you will, on the racetrack. And Pecorini out wide. That's going to open the door for Yannick Steinhoff through the kink and into the West Horseshoe. Watch that battle for first.
As they come to the horseshoes, you see we're going to go down to the West Horseshoe.
I know you're at a disadvantage here because you're not on the iRacing sim this evening. To elaborate on the situation, poor Zach's PC got fried over the weekend. He's on his phone tonight, so give him some grace. But you saw everybody get through the West Horseshoe there nice and cleanly. The whole field as a group handling this nicely. Now, Thorsten Ulrich had to serve a penalty. He could not start with the field. He could not qualify either. He has to roll off from the pit lane. He is there in the 38th spot, and, well, he's got a lot of work to do if he wants to win this championship, and that is going to be a hard obstacle to overcome. The field now through the Le Mans chicane and onto the oval once again. Speedway 3 and 4. Eduardo Pecorini out front. Yannick Steinhoff in second, but things are mixing up down in division number 2. Ismail Elahi and Andy Ray Miller on top of one another. Ismail in your frame. Andy Ray Miller, the car that just blinked. These two are going at it for the race lead in division number 2, and they are in the middle of the field. through turn 1 here on lap number 2. Michael Brooks doing a decent job passing Paulo Godai. And we've got a problem. Santiago Serena around in the first corner, and the 82 and the 37, Chris Winstone, going for a championship in Division 2. His hopes have been dashed in the first corner of lap number 2. He's got no rear wing, and we're taking our first Pit Stop TV replay. Look back at turn 1 here on lap 2. Winstone minding his own business, ends up getting run into there, and I'm impressed that the back end of that car fell off like that. That should not have happened. He just got tapped as he was avoiding the spun Santiago Serena. Let's see what happened to Serena down here in the first corner. He's on the inside of Andy Ray Miller, who dives to the outside of Mark Reynolds, and Serena just kind of parked it there on the inside and tried to get out of harm's way. In the midst of all that, Zach, you can just see Winstone get tapped. And have you ever seen a rear fascia fall off quite that easily?
I've never seen a bumper like that and a wing just fly off the car like that. That's surprising. That's very surprising to me. Barely gets tapped and it's gone, and then backs into a wall. I don't know. That was crazy.
Winstone now on the oval, trying to get back around to pit lane. Let's see if he actually goes to pit lane. Actually, that's at a NASCAR 2, so he's got to go around the Le Mans chicane still. He's got a ways to go, but somebody who's fighting for the Division 2 championship already, I think his hopes are pretty much dashed. I don't know that you can come back from this, as Lucas Finko is down to the pit lane here on lap number 3. Let's see. Let's bring up the point standings one more time, and Winstone comes in 5 out behind Turcotte and Buenaventura. This is going to be really difficult for him to overcome. Let's see, does he pit here? No, he's going to, yes he does. Okay, I was going to say, that would be very, very bold not to pit, but he will come in and take repairs.
The points battle is so tight. It sucks that it happened, but it's better for it to happen if it's going to happen early on in the race, here 5 minutes in, than it would be with 2 minutes or 5 minutes left in the race. So it's a bad situation, but then you got to weigh your pros and cons here, and I'd rather it happen now than later on in the race.
As far as the Division 2 championship fight right now, Dominic Turcotte is 3rd and 19th overall. He is some 4 spots ahead of Mitch Buenaventura, and that would be just enough currently to overcome that 2-point gap and pass Buenaventura in the standings. So watch for this over the course of the race. Dominic Turcotte, I know he's only got Mike Braun and Dean Curran between them on the racetrack, but he could add another car to that. He could lose another car to that. And Buenaventura is really just behind him, about a second back or so into the Le Mans chicane. You can see Turcotte out his windshield. This is a very important fight. They are top 2 of the standings and no longer have to worry about Winstone. It is just them right now. Lucas Finko a little further back and behind him on the racetrack as well. Finko now 37th, so he also realistically out of things in Division 2. That's your Division 2 update. Up in Division 1, you've seen Eduardo Pecorini continue to go faster and faster. Thorsten Ulrich, I think, as well, trading the fastest lap. He's got Yannick Steinhoff. Eduardo does. Eduardo has Yannick Steinhoff hounding him for that first position as they run through the International Horseshoe there. Scott Kimbrough goes faster at a 1:45, and we're going to see these drivers trade that fast lap around over the course of this hour-long race. There you go, Thorsten Ulrich grabbing it for himself there on lap number 3, a 1:45.493. Now, for those of you that might be new to this series, I know, Zach, you are, so we'll touch on this quickly. These guys are going to fuel save over the course of this first run and possibly even the second run. They're going to try to take as little fuel as possible at the pit stop, minimize the time spent on pit lane, and get back on the racetrack as quickly as possible. How do you save fuel, Zach? Well, you know from racing in the BRB Cup Series, you want to sit behind somebody and be at the throttle if you can. You want to try and lower your revs. You want to short shift maybe a little bit, but you want to be off throttled if you can into these corners and save some gas that way. Watch for Yannick Steinhoff. He's doing exactly that. Let's go to his onboard. And he's lifting a little bit early, coasting for a moment, and then braking. We're going to see this over the course of the race.
Yeah, as you saw right there, he just lifted off a little bit earlier than normal, and that's all you got to do really to save fuel here at Daytona. Even with the high banks and the high speed, when you go around to these low speed sections, it's really good to short shift like he's been doing, in lifting before the corner, letting the car just go in, ride it in, roll it in, and then get back on the throttle once he starts shifting down the gears.
And Yannick may not want to pass Eduardo. You see there he had a run, but he didn't go for it, as he actually turns the fastest lap of the race so far at a 1:45.259. He may want to sit behind Eduardo all the way to the pit stop and then use that pit stop to go past the 47 car and take over the race lead. That is a strategy we've seen a lot this season and seasons past. This fuel-saving technique very much pays off in the pit stop. I would expect Yannick to sit behind Eduardo for the entirety of this first run, maybe even just until the last couple of laps of this first run. When they pit around 35 to 30 minutes to go, we'll see these guys' hands truly, but I would expect the 5 car to stay in second most of this opening run, if not the entire run.
But you just got to think, how much are they saving? Because they have still pulled over a 1.5 second gap to Reister and Costagini. Are they pushing, or are they saving but not saving as much as maybe Reister and Costagini? As we have a spin. Tell me with that name.
It's going to be Christian Gritzko. Gritzko in trouble out of the West Horseshoe here. He was racing with, it looks like, Dean Kerr, I believe, a couple of Division II drivers. And that's actually Scott Angelo. That was not Dean Kerr. So that's Scott Angelo he's racing with. And Gritzko is going to send it big time into the West Horseshoe. That was a very late break. And then out of the Horseshoe, oh, Angelo just gets into him.
Oh. Man. Get another look at it here.
Watch the closing right there.
Ooh.
We'll follow Angelo this time as he ends up spinning down through the grass and falling well down the order. A little bit of contact on exit. Angelo keeps the wheels rolling and drives back onto the racetrack. That could be a penalty for him just because of how far he went out there. Sometimes you can get a course cut doing that. But it looks like he may continue on without too much issue. Now, Ken Copeland. Oh boy, Ken's in trouble. This is live picture now. Thorsten Ulrich is right behind him. Ken has fallen down to 31st. I'm unsure as to why. There is some damage, it looks like, to the rear wing. I would have to guess that would be why. But I'm unsure as to how it happened. Got some left side damage there as well. Let's see if I can find what happened to him here in a replay. Image is already there of that lap. This must have happened off the start. We've gone back several minutes at this point. Here we go. This is in turn 1. On the start of the race, Ismail Alahi there on the inside. This must have been something we missed. He's on the outside of Scott Kimbrough into the wet. Oh, wow.
Whoa.
Wow. Ken Copeland deep into the corner, along with the 07 of Kevin Gill and the 17 of Scott Kimbrough. And this is huge for that Division I championship fight. I can't believe I missed this off the start. I completely missed this in timing and scoring. Wow.
Plows the tire barrier. Oh, my.
He's lucky the damage re-rendered and gave him his wing back, or he would have been in the same case scenario as Chris Winstone.
I'm surprised it stayed on, even though we saw the other, what was it, the other Acura, I think it was, that got tapped and barely got tapped and lost everything. He slammed the wall and he kept it. That's surprising.
Ulrich has passed Copeland, as has Kevin Gill, and I think unless something drastic changes, you can write Copeland out of the championship at this point. It's down to Schwartz and Reister, and Schwartz is in 7th, Reister in 3rd. If I look over at the points right now, I think Schwartz still has just a bit of an advantage, but it's not by a whole lot. Schwartz and Reister could realistically tie this thing after this race, and I don't know what the tiebreaker actually comes down to. There's Reister.
And that's what racing's all about.
Yeah. Oh man, this this completely changes everything. Some significant drivers in these championship fights out of this race, or at least out of contention here very early, and we still have 48 minutes to race.
I'm going to say it. Championship implications.
Yes, one of our favorite lines over in the NASCAR world, coming over to the road world here. But there's Reister in third place. Samsoid right in between. Ignacio Casmina, Bruce de Carvalho in between as well. But David Schwartz at the back end of this train of 5 cars. He is your points leader coming into tonight. If he can just pass a car or two, he should be able to defend that championship lead. He could win this title without a win this season. That would be most impressive.
That would be awesome, I would say, because it's hard to be a points leader and not have a win. It will take a toll on somebody because they haven't won a race, but they still are leading the championship. So it's a hard thing to battle because you're consistently running up front and getting good finishes, but you still have a win to back it up. But if he does it, that's going to be amazing.
And I feel for the top 2 right now on the racetrack, Eduardo Beccarini and Yannick Steinhoff, because they are really doing a fantastic job of pulling away from the field. But we're not going to be paying them much attention as this race goes on, because as this points battle gets murkier and murkier and more interesting, we're going to have to keep focusing on those drivers throughout the course of the field. These 2 are going to run away, I think, and possibly with the race win, one of them, unless a mistake is made. And we're going to be focusing on everybody else as they funnel off of turn number 2 and down the Daytona superstretch into that Le Mans chicane. What a view that is. But I really do feel bad for these lead 2. They're doing a fantastic job and being overshadowed right now by a fantastic points fight.
And that's what's so great about season-long points when it comes down to the last race, and it is single digits. It's nobody had a runaway, it's really good. It's really good for entertainment-wise and everything. But the top 2 were just pulling away. Almost 3 seconds is the gap. And they run another fastest lap. I don't think they're saving Andrew.
We'll see. It's been interesting on the big tracks this season, like Le Mans and Monza. We've seen these guys actually go for 2 pit stops when the status quo is 1. There's a spin. Edgar Ruiz in trouble between the S's and the International Horseshoe. It was a quick spin. He got it righted pretty quickly, but problems there for the 80 car as he falls back behind, and Ricardo Delgado, Mark Reynolds, and Lucas Souza. Delgado and Miller here are fighting. Andy Ray Miller falling off of Ismail Elahi. Ricardo says, I want to go by. And they're going to fight here at the West Horseshoe. Ricardo's going to win that fight. The lone Corvette in this race, I believe. Unless Joshua Benjamin's here and I missed him. And Ismail out wide at turn 6. This could be a big moment here for the Division 2 race lead.
Looks like we kind of have a gap between Division 1 and Division 2 right now. We're right on board with Andy Miller. He's running in, I believe, second to... Oh, man.
See, that's that small screen getting you this evening. So Andy Ray Miller sits in second right now in class in Division 2, chasing Ismail Elahi. But that car right ahead of him is Ricardo Delgado, who passed him back in the West Horseshoe. And Ricardo is a separate class driver, but they're all on the racetrack together. They race together for points. So Ricardo is able to fight, Ismail is able to fight, Andy is able to fight all 4 of these points. Really, the class doesn't matter too much until they break these guys down, but of course the Division 1 guys will feel a little bit of an ego. It's natural. They are Division 1, and they're going to want to pass. They're going to feel like they have the right to the spot. They're going to find it a little bit harder, and they don't like when the Division 2 guys put up a fight. But I would say in this race, more than any this season, those Division 2 guys have a right to that spot on the racetrack, a right to fight as Andy Ray Miller gets into the back end of Ricardo Delgado there in the International Horseshoe, and that's going to back Andy up. You see the blink from Ricardo. That's showing he wants to go by, but Ismail has all right to fight there.
See, that's the thing with sports car racing. Sometimes they'll flash you and they think they're faster, but then they're still stuck behind you. I really think Ricardo just needs to stay behind him and try to save some fuel if he can, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't really see the point of trying to pass him and trying to catch the next car. I think everybody's just riding around in line right now and just trying to save.
Now, Ismail Elahi is down the order in the standings. He is 16th in the standings, so he's not really fighting for the championship much, so he could afford to let Ricardo go by, but of course Ismail wants to hang on to all the points he can get and better his position in the standings for a better payout as well. As Mike Braun and Dominic Turcotte are fighting, this is important for the championship. Turcotte's going to fall back here, and Mitch Buenaventura is going to overtake him with the help of Mike Braun. Buenaventura, that 14 car on the inside, he just squeezes there, and Turcotte takes the spot back away in the first apex of the Le Mans chicane. That was an important and decisive move from Turcotte, but right now, Buenaventura, I think these two would even out to where Buenaventura has a 1-point lead currently. I think. I'm going to review some numbers on my side here, Zach, in a moment, but I think Buenaventura would still have the lead by a single point.
That could have ended really badly if they would have made it 3 wide going into the Le Mans chicane. They all made it through, which is impeccable. I don't know how they did that, but as you see, the battle still forming up. They're still trying to pass each other, but they're going to stay in line. I don't know if you should be this aggressive with 42 minutes to go. I get it's a 60-minute race, but with 42 minutes to go, you just got to mind your P's and Q's and just take what you can take and don't take extra right now.
It's a very difficult balance. This is a very cutthroat series, and usually I think if the championship wasn't riding on this race, I would fully agree with you, Zach, but with the championship very heavily riding on this event, this is a non-drop race, right? I think you have to be cutthroat. I think you have to go for the spot if you can. If you're Mitch in this case, you've got to try and go for a pass on Dominic and put him behind you. At the same time, you also want to save fuel to try and gain time in the pit stop. And there we go. The lights have just come on here at Daytona and lit up the track. This is going to officially go into the night.
Racing at Daytona in the night, crowning a champion in the night. I don't know what's better or what's different. Crowning a champion at night at Daytona is just one of the best things to do, and I'm so happy that we get a night race tonight.
We'll keep our eyes on this D2 fight, but for right now it's fizzled out. Dominic Turcotte has got a small advantage here on Mitch Buenaventura. Up front, Eduardo Pecorini still leads 20 minutes into this race over Yannick Steinhoff. They're about 10 minutes out from the pit stop. Scott Reister leads the second pack. Ignacio Casagnin in fourth. And whoa, that was a big pass from Michael Brooks going on by David Schwartz, or maybe defending the spot. It's hard to say. But that is an important spot as well, because David is trying to gain points on Scott Reister, and right now they would be just a couple of points apart in the standings. I think Schwartz would have the advantage, but it wouldn't be by a whole lot, as we watch here from the blimp through the kink.
As they roll through the kink, we've seen so many moves already this race. Into the horseshoe, no move made there. We're going to stay single file and follow in line with each other. Maybe we'll see a move getting ready to go into Speedway 1 and 2. He's going to stay behind him again. Could set up for a really good bus stop Le Mans chicane. If he can get a run here. He should be able to get a run here, but it just depends if he wants to save or if he wants to go by him now. And I'd go by him now if I could.
Now, David Schwartz is a member of the Muradness team. He's got a teammate right behind him in Adam Brockway, and we want to give a big shout out to Muradness being a longtime partner here of the North American Racing League. They have been a longtime supporter, and hopefully that will continue on for many years to come, as well as our partnership with JS Consulting and Compressor Service Incorporated, all great partners here for this North American Racing League. And a big shout out as well to our partners here at Pit Stop TV, Whiplash Simcams, ATVO, CC's Business, Cody Williams Design, Lucky Performance, and, of course, the North American Racing League here on your screen this evening. More about that team fight. David Schwartz runs here in 8th spot. He just fell back behind Michael Brooks. He's got a teammate behind him in Adam Brockway. They could try and take these guys on as the race goes on, but they are in different manufacturers. Schwartz here in a Mercedes, Brockway in a Mustang. Either way, they were both fast in practice, decent in qualifying, and in the top 10 here in the race. They've just got to link up together and try and leapfrog around some of these guys. And that's easier said than done, as you see Michael Brooks poking his nose around the inside of Bruce De Carvalho. That would be for 6th position if he could grab it. we'll watch on here from Schwartz onboard, and this could be the onboard for the championship for this entire season. He hasn't won a race yet, but he is leading the standings by sheer consistency. This is a Matt Kenseth kind of season. Leading the standings by sheer consistency here. No wins, just a bunch of top 10s, top 5s, and just trying to consistently beat this group down. It's been really impressive, but he does need to get to that lead car of this group. That's Scott Reister, 5 cars ahead. He's got to at least get closer. You cannot have the championship get this close with Scott Reister out ahead of this group.
I agree with that, but we've seen how everybody's been formed up all day. I think right now he might be content with sitting in line. I mean, he's not that far back from him. He's still in the same group as him, so one mistake could weigh in his favor or against him. It looks like they're going to team up now.
Yeah, Schwartz now has the helmet Blackway. You can tell those are identical liveries, just on different cars. And Schwartz is going to need all the help he can get. It just seems like that car is not, either the car or the driver is not up to the task for the infield. He loses time, gains it back on the oval, but we've got a very impressive field here this evening. They pull away through the infield as there's a fight here in the midfield. Turcotte is going to take that spot back away, and that would tie up the Division II points lead right now. Whoa, big move here from Scott Kimbrough to the inside of Mitch Buenaventura. The problem here, again, is you've got D1 guys fighting D2 guys, and the Division I drivers feel like they own the racetrack. And I don't know if Mike knows or Scott knows the situation around them right now, but I assure you that Mitch does. Mitch Buenaventura is very aware of the situation and very aware that he needs to defend over Dominic Turcotte. Being 2 spots behind him is not going to help him in the championship. It would tie them up, I believe. This is a very important fight that we'll have our eyes on, I think, the rest of the night. 35 minutes to go, and I don't see us leaving it much anytime soon. At least not for very long.
So something that I'm starting to learn with multi-class racing is if you have friends in different divisions or classes, they can help you out with a point situation that we have like right now, where it's the points are awarded by overall finish. So sometimes if you have somebody that's going for a Division II title, but there's somebody in Division I that you know is your friend, they could totally come in and just try to pass the guy that you need to pass to help you get more points on the car that you're racing against.
And we do have some teammate alliances between classes. I mean, Moradnes has drivers in each class. So that's one example. I think one of the only examples. The wrong stuff might have some drivers across classes too. But as Mike Braun goes on a move here on Dominic Turcotte, that can absolutely impact the race and the championship. You're right. We'll see how much that plays into this race and into this championship. But as the sun sets behind the grandstands here in Daytona, Florida, something we did not see in Tuesday's BRB race here. Everything is tightening up, becoming much more interesting. We've got a 2-point gap, I think, in Division I, a tie, I think, in Division II. I mean, it does not get much better than this without having a complete NASCAR playoff scenario where you reset everybody to 0. This is a whole season of 8 races just come down to the final race, and what's going to come down to the final minutes here, the final laps at Daytona to decide the championship.
And I do think you have to give a shout out to the league organizers and series organizers for having a point system so diverse where we can go 8 races and we can still have a tie for points, and that's with various finishing positions. Got to give a shout out to the league organizers and the scheduling team to have a situation like this at Daytona, the world center of racing.
Here to the Le Mans chicane. This is lap 15 of an expected 35. We're watching Mike Braun because he keeps going for moves here on Dominic Turcotte. Mike wants to pass that 73 car, and that would impact the Division II championship directly. Dominic is trying to hold Mike at bay as one car is headed to the pit lane. Oh, this is early. This is going to cause these guys to pit a second time. We've seen this more and more as this season has gone on. This is disaster for these drivers. You have to try and go for a one-stop strategy at a place like Daytona. But Andy Ray Miller, Ismail Elahi, so many drivers, Lucas Souza, Dominic Turcotte even, so many drivers pitting here. One that stands out to me that did not is going to be Mitch Buenaventura, and this lap could be enough to make it a one-stop strategy for the 14 car. As long as he saves gas through the second portion of this race, he may, by default, beat Dominic Turcotte for this championship.
This is going to shape up into an interesting final 32 minutes of this race to see if the two-stop strategy or the one-stop strategy will prevail for these guys.
Well, the one-stop will prevail for sure if you can do it, but that's if you can do it. And it's going to take a lot of fuel saving, I think, based on these guys pitting with about 3 minutes to go in the first half of the race. The one-stop, if you can swing it, is better, but it's tough to swing. Up to our race leaders. Eduardo Pecorini, Yannick Steinhoff. Eduardo has gone the distance. He's going to pit here inside of 2 minutes to go to halfway, if he pits this time. And it looks like Yannick will also pit this time. They both come in, and Yannick is trying to beat Eduardo to the line. He will just get there at the same time. These guys are thousandths of a second apart, but Yannick will make the pass into the pit lane. That is huge. Yannick Steinhoff for the race lead here as they run down to their pit boxes. That is a big-time pass, and we're going to have to... Oh, but Yannick overshoots his box by quite a large margin. That is not it. That is not what you want to have.
Pit road is very active, very busy. Who's going to win the race off pit road?
Everybody else came in right here. Every single driver has come in on this lap if they haven't already. One is rolling slow. That's Ignacio Castagnin. Oh, he just got to his box. He was on the starter there to roll in. Everybody's going to release now. David Schwartz, slow to release, is that 100 car. That's going to give the advantage in Division 1 to Scott Reister by quite a margin. Reister's going to roll out of here third. Schwartz ninth.
Wow. If it's going to come down to a pit road mistake, is it going to cost the guy that's been so consistent all season a championship? That's got to hurt.
All right, Dominic Turcotte coming around right now to try and pass Mitch Buenaventura. Mitch is going to roll out of the pit lane and have the advantage over Turcotte. So even if they straight up race from this point, Mitch should have the advantage in the points unless Dominic can pass him and a couple of other cars. If we revisit those Division 2 standings, you can see Mitch has a 2-point lead coming into this race. Dominic a 2-point deficit. Winstone, we saw the crash earlier. He's pretty much written out of it. Finko, same deal there, and Kevin Peake has been a non-factor in this race, unfortunately. He just has not been able to overcome that 11-point gap. We're watching your top two. That is your points battle right now in Division number 2, your top two. Mitch Buenaventura, Dominic Turcotte on the racetrack. They are going to be a lot of fun to watch here in this run to the finish. Just inside now of 30 minutes to go. Mitch Buenaventura, third place in class, but 18th on the racetrack and just ahead of Dominic Turcotte, who is now chasing. He was defending into the pit stop, pitted one lap early, now comes out trying to chase that 14 car.
I don't know the fuel range on these cars, but if they only went 29 minutes, 28 and a half minutes on that first run, they got to go 30 more minutes and an extra lap, right? If I believe so. This could be, I don't know, it's going to be really tight on fuel.
It's going to be very close, as it has been all season. A lot of drivers have run out right after the checkered flag, but big pass here. Samsoid, Carvalho, Brooks, all just past Scott Reister on the racetrack, and that's going to relegate Reister down to 6th position. And inside, Schwartz. He's getting passed up by Ismail Elahi. What is happening? Schwartz has just been passed up by a Division 2 car and has fallen back to a separate group. He was in that lead pack there in the opening run. He is now in the second or third group on the racetrack and down to 10th position. So both of these championship leaders in Division 1 are falling right now. Reister from 3rd to 6th, Schwartz from about 8th to 10th. And don't ask me right now to do the math. I'll leave this math, I think, to the end. I might just have to let Scott Reister tabulate these scores after the race is done, because this is going to be way too close to call.
The gap should stay around the same. If you think about it, Schwartz went from, what was it, 6th to 9th, and then Reister went from, oh God, where was he at before all pit stops?
Reister was 3rd. Schwartz, I believe, pitted from 8th, and is now running 10th on the racetrack overall. And we're going to have another fight here through the tri-oval. Michael Brooks in the back end of Bruce De Carvalho, and they have run away from Scott Reister. I think Scott is fuel saving heavy right now, realizing they were a little bit short on the first run, and they might have to go an extra lap or two on the second run. And that's a lot of fuel to save in just 30 minutes. You talk about the 24 hours of Daytona, the Rolex 24, you can save a lap or two of gas pretty easily in the course of that race because you've got 24 hours to do it. In this race, you've got a half hour now to try and save that lap, and that's almost impossible.
I think I've done the math before for the 24 hours of Daytona when I run it on iRacing. I believe you can save about 2 laps an hour. So he's got to save a lap in 30 minutes. It is very possible, but it is very, very hard to do. It's going to be really tight. Even if because he pitted a lap before, it's going to be even harder for him, because I feel like you have to run extra laps in this last run. You have to pit late, and he pitted a lap early, so it's going to be really, really tight for him on fuel.
We were just talking about that battle between Turcotte and Buenaventura. Well, Turcotte has come out ahead of Buenaventura. I don't know where the pass happened, but Turcotte made the pass on the 14 car and even put Jake Browder between them. So that is an extra spot. That would see Turcotte would tie up with Buenaventura right now. He needs one more spot to pass the 14 car in the standings, and the next car ahead is 1.2 seconds up. That is Scott Kimbrough, who has so far been faster over the course of this race than the 73 car, and was making passes in the 73 earlier. So it's a long stretch right now for Turcotte to get that extra spot, but he's at least got these two evened up to where if somebody drops out ahead, he might be able to put them and he's actually catching Kimbrough currently. That gap has come down big time. Kimbrough might have had a slowdown or a bad exit there out of the Le Mans chicane. Once this updates across the stripe, you'll see, there we go, tracking to Kimbrough on that Delta graphic at the bottom right. It's within 1 second there. And Zach, you'll know this from the NASCAR side. You're looking at about a second on the sim. I don't know what it is about iRacing, but it's about a second on the racetrack that you want to be within to get that draft.
Exactly. So when you get inside that second, the air is still coming off of his car enough to give you a little bit more of a pull, but not enough. So he needs to pull himself within, I'd say, 7/10 or 6/10. As he's pulling it down into 4/10 into the horseshoe, he has the draft of him, which is also going to help the guys behind him as well that also have the draft off of him. So if he can stay within 4 or 5 tenths right here, he's going to have a massive run down to the into the Le Mans chicane.
We've got 4/10 back to Jake Browder. I don't think there's any concern there, but he should be able to pull a little bit here on Kimbrough and at least get closer to that 17 car. He is slowly gaining. Run toward here with Dominic Turcotte. Slowly gaining inside of 5/10, so inside a half second. It'll be about 4/10 when they hit the brakes. Right there on the brakes. 3.5 tenths in the braking zone. Kimbrough a little better, but Kimbrough off the racetrack. That's going to be the spot that Dominic needs. So Dominic Turcotte will pass up Scott Kimbrough. Jake Browder followed, and Browder now is on the back end of that 73 car, and Turcotte would take this points lead away from Mitch Buenaventura by 1 point. That's one spot on the racetrack. I reviewed the points and how they get earned per race. It's 50 for the winner, drops down to 48 for second, and then it's 1 point per position on back. I had to review it to remind myself. That is exactly what Dominic needs. That pass right there puts him out front of the championship. He got that win at Detroit, and he just might be able to hang on here this evening to that points lead, or at least make the pass to then hang on to it. This is a very important fight as this race goes on and as the sun goes down. Out front of the entire field, by the way, Yannick Steinhoff has taken over the race lead. He passes Eduardo Pecorini in the pit lane. And the Cross-Continental Collective, number 47, now has to find a way back by the Ride Sim Sport number 5. They have plenty of time back to third. And there's a great comment out on the YouTube chat right now from SA0120, wondering how many cars have to pit again. That is going to be the difference this evening between winning and losing both the race and the championship, I think. It could be the difference in this top two. It could be the difference for the Division 1 and 2 championship. There is a lot to watch in these final 20 minutes. Who can save enough fuel? Who has to pit again? Who gets the run at the right time if you're good on fuel? There is so much left to unpack in the final 22 minutes of this North American Racing League season. Through turn one, we're now watching Scott Reister, Paulo Godai, and Adam Brockway. Oh, pass made by David Schwartz. He gets back ahead of Lucas Souza to keep himself in 10th position. Right now, I think Schwartz would have a slight advantage. Oh, another great point. You do get a point for no incidents, I believe, or maybe even 2 points for no incidents in this race. So we can do as much figuring as possible from just the race result, but it's going to possibly come down to that bonus for no incidents beside the championship, I think. Scott has been great at getting that over the course of the season, Scott Reister. David Schwartz, I think, as well. And I don't know that either one have any incidents so far this race, but it's so easy to grab one. You ran the 24 Hours of Daytona on iRacing earlier this year, Zach. You know how easy it is to grab an off-track there in the bus stop chicane.
The bus stop chicane is one of the easiest places to get an off-track. You run just a little bit wide, pushing the car just a little bit too much, and you could run it good one lap and then run it the exact same way, and sometimes you might just get an X for it. So you just got to play a very, very safe line through there if you're trying to get these bonus points. But I think if you've already lost, if you've already got an X, I feel like you just got to be pushing, and if you get another one, it is just another one.
You're going to collect up to 15 of those incidents before a penalty. And pass for the race lead. Eduardo Pecorini here goes by in turn one, but I think that's going to give the overall advantage to Yannick Steinhoff. Eduardo, of course, he couldn't save fuel because he wasn't drafting. At least he couldn't save as much fuel in that opening run because he didn't have the draft ahead of him. Yannick could save, and I believe they pitted on the same lap. Yes, they did. So I think it's very possible still that Yannick has more fuel in the tank and can go an extra lap versus Eduardo. Eduardo could be releasing himself to just go fight and get as much time on the racetrack as possible to make sure his result is as good as possible after a second pit stop. I find it very hard to believe, if other drivers that have been in the draft are close, I find it hard to believe that Eduardo's got enough fuel to go to the end after leading that first stint.
Yeah, I mean, as you see right now, Eduardo is starting to pull away. He's up to 7/10 as they come through turns Speedway 1 and 2. Exited turn 2. It looks like the gap is starting to close just a little bit, but they also have almost a 6.5 second lead over third in Samsoid.
Plenty of gap back to Samsoid, who's got Michael Brooks right in behind. Samsoid in a Ferrari, Brooks in a McLaren, and Bruce De Carvalho in this group as well in a Porsche. They run just ahead of Scott Reister, Paulo Godai, and Adam Brockway. By the way, nothing has changed in Division 2. They have held their positions. Dominic Turcotte in 17th, Mitch Buenaventura in 20th, with those two Division 1 drivers in between them. So nothing changing in Division 2 right now. And you know, we have an award to hand out every race. It's the Lucky Performance, Lucky Break of the Day. I have not seen one yet. I have not seen anybody get lucky. I've seen a lot of drivers get unlucky. I haven't really seen anybody get lucky this race just yet. I'm going to keep an eye out for it because we want to try and give that award away to somebody this evening. But I haven't seen what I'm looking for that kind of award yet in this race. It's been, again, a lot of bad luck for several drivers, Chris Winstone and Ken Copeland namely, but we're looking for the lucky break, not the unlucky break, the lucky break. So far, I'm just not seeing it. We'll keep an eye out in these final 18 minutes of the season for the final lucky performance, lucky break of the day of the season here in season number 7. Now, what we can do, Zach, is talk about the NARL Driver of the Day conversation. It's always so much fun. This is maybe my favorite segment of the broadcast because we get to pick a couple of drivers each, one for each class in this case, to nominate for the fans to vote on. And we tend to weigh in several different metrics. Of course, where they're running on the racetrack is important, but also where they started is super important because that's how many positions they've gained. And if we look at that across the board, 3 spots for Samsoid, Brooks, and Carvalho each. I saw 10 spots for somebody. I think that might have been for Schwartz maybe, or Souza possibly. We'll let it cycle back around. 16 for Ulrich. He's up to 17th, but he's still got a lot of work to do. And that's just in Division 1. If you look at Division 2, however, Dominic Turcotte is up 12 positions. And that's overall positions, but up 12 positions as, yes, it was Lucas Souza who's up 10 spots in Division 1. So already, I mean, those are a couple of leaders. Lucas Souza in Division 1, Dominic Turcotte in Division 2. They've both gained 10 spots or more overall on the racetrack, and that is not easy in a field that the average I rating is around 3,000.
I got to agree with you there, but are we picking yet? Because I kind of have a good...
Yeah, we're right at that time, so we can go ahead and we can make our picks.
All right, I'm going to go with Dominic Turcotte just because he's gained 12 overall positions, and he's fighting for a championship. Like, all the adrenaline's pumping through him right now. He's having a career day, and he's gained 12 positions when he's fighting for a title. Like, that's very surprising. I'm very surprised about that.
There you see on the graphic, started 29th, currently 17th. He has moved through this field, a subpar qualifying effort, not what he wanted, but a fantastic race effort here from this Audi driver. And we only have the one Audi in the field, and it's him. He got a race win in it back at Detroit. Has been fantastic since, just putting together race after race to gain points and put himself in this position here. He's been super consistent. Watch out for the 73 in these final 15 minutes of racing. That is a fantastic pick, Zach. For you being brand new to the field, that was a really intelligent pick. Dominic Turcotte here in Division 2. Looking through the rest of the field, I see Alex DeMarco up 10 spots, and that's a highlight to me. He started 32nd up to 22nd spot. We haven't talked about him much this season, but he's putting together a really solid effort. But you know what? I just saw a pass in timing and scoring it, and I think this might overshadow Alex by just a bit. Ismail Ilahi is into the top 10 and now into 8th overall. He is a Division 2 driver in a Porsche. With that pass on Brockway, I can't look past him. That is a really, really stellar run so far for Ismail Ilahi. He's been in contention for wins and whatnot earlier in the season. He's got one even earlier in the season. I was going to give it to DeMarco, but last second I'm switching it up. I'm giving it to Ismail Ilahi. That is a really good run so far from that 025 car.
You know, I can't disagree with you on Ismail Ilahi. I heard you say it earlier on. He's 16th in points. He's going for broke, and that's what you have to do when it comes down to these finales, and you don't have a fight. You don't have a chance for a championship, but you know what? You can come out here, show something, and try to prove yourself for next season, and give yourself confidence for next season that you can fight and you can contend with these guys.
Miguel Colon, great points so far. Edgar Ruiz could be the lucky break of the day. Can't disagree there. And you know, Mitch Buenaventura has put together a great race so far, but in a key moment where he really needed to keep Dominic behind him just to be safe, he let the 73 car go by, and he could be playing the strategy game. That's fair to say. Is whoa, what a move there from Brockway to get to the inside of Elahi, bullying that Division 2 driver a little bit, and contact is made. He's got to be careful. That was almost a crash into turn 1, but Brockway is going to get a 2-for-1 and even go by Paulo Godai there on the screen. We're watching Elahi, but that was a great move that we saw as well, and David Schwartz now going to go for a move as Elahi dives to the inside of Paulo Godai to get that spot back. But we've got to talk about Division 1 now and who we're giving the nod to there. I'm going to go first and give you a second to think. I'm going to give it to Lucas Souza. I know Thorsten's up a lot of spots, but that penalty was self-inflicted from Road Atlanta. Lucas Souza in a completely different situation. In 21st, fighting here for 10th as he tries to pass the season point leader in David Schwartz here. He won't get it done there, but he's got another opportunity as this race goes on. He's up 10 spots. I can't look past this aerodynamics driver.
You know, I can't disagree with that one, but I haven't really watched or seen any of these broadcasts, but I'm going to have to go with Pecorini just because of the gap that he and Steinhoff have pulled on the field, and he's still leading these laps. And we don't know his situation, if he's saving fuel or not, but he is going hard. I can't say the other word, but he is going to the wall as hard as he can right now. He is pushing with these final 12 minutes to go. The gap just that they have pulled in the lead on the rest of the field is too hard to overlook right now.
That vote is now live over on YouTube. It's really tough to make these decisions, but we've made them. Eduardo Pecorini is nominated, as well as Lucas Souza here in Division 1. Those are your Division 1 drivers up for nomination. Only one can be chosen, though, between Division 1 and Division 2. Lucas Souza, one of them. So Pecorini and Souza from Division 1, and then Turcotte in Division number 2 alongside Ismail Elahi. So we look at Turcotte now in the 73 car. Whoa, what a moment behind him as Thorsten Ulrich, hang on, we'll put the driver of the day conversation behind us because Thorsten Ulrich just made a super important pass. He just drove to the inside and passed Mitch Buenaventura, and that is what Dominic Turcotte needed to put another point between himself and Mitch Buenaventura. I think Turcotte's got to pit again. Buenaventura might. If they both have to pit, that is the championship for the 73 car so far. But with 10 and a half minutes to go, we still don't know who has to pit again.
If it comes down to just them two pitting, it's going to hand the championship over to Benaventura, because if it's just them two on track and they're going to be back to back to each other in position on track, it's going to go in Benaventura's way. So maybe he's thinking he needs to push Turcotte to push hard, and if he has to push, then Turcotte's not going to have enough fuel. But even if Benaventura doesn't have enough fuel, it's going to be playing out in the favor of Benaventura.
That's a good point as well. I hadn't thought about that. If these guys have to pit, it's not a guarantee that the cars between them have to pit. And Turcotte and Buenaventura could easily, even if they both have to pit, could easily be on the racetrack together with no cars between them. That is a super important point. Whoa, Ismail Elahi deep into the pit lane. He might have got an unsafe pit exit there briefly as he dipped out of the pit lane for just a moment, but he will come in and take service. Elahi taking his second stop of the race. He may have enough pace to overcome this second stop. We'll see. Although he did just get passed by Andy Ray Miller. We'll see if Andy Ray Miller has to pit again. I feel like
this seems like a really long stop.
This is a really long stop for Elahi. I'm not sure what's going on for him. You know what? He probably got a penalty.
Speeding on pit road.
I don't even know about that. I think we saw him a little bit off the track. I think this is very likely an unsafe pit entry and unsafe pit exit and unsafe pit entry to get back on the pit lane. Wow, this sucks. I just nominated him for driver of the day, and a small mistake like this, he just, I don't know why he steered to the right there, but that is huge. I just nominated him, and this completely unravels his race. Let's watch this one more time here from the tower. Oh my gosh, this is huge. Now, it's not for the championship, thankfully. It's not championship implications in that way, but this is definitely race implications, and Dominic Turcotte now is able to fight for the race win. We'll look at that in a second. That could be a whole other story in Division 2, but watch this pit entry one more time for Ismail. He was on the gas a little bit too late, steered out to the right, and right there, when he dips those wheels in the grass that is over the line, I think that's an unsafe pit exit.
I think if you get an unsafe pit exit, if we go by iRacing, I think it's a drive-through. I don't think it's a hold.
I think when it's before the box, it holds you. When it's after the box, it pulls you back in. But Dominic Turcotte, here we go, over Andy Ray Miller. Andy's going to deep brake here to turn number 1 and goes right back up the inside of Dominic Turcotte. This is huge here in Division number 2. Not only for the points that Dominic could be gaining, but if these two crash, what could that spell? And
Dominic needs to go for broke.
Thorsten's going to try and go around the outside. That's an added pain here to Dominic Turcotte. I know it helped Dominic at one point, but Thorsten going by is now going to hurt the 73 car.
If I'm Dominic Turcotte, I cannot let anybody else by. The points battle is too close. Bonaventura is right there on him in that group with them. This could be really good for Bonaventura, but very bad for Turcotte.
Well, we say that, but he ends up taking the race lead away. Andy Ray Miller
looks
on his
really
back
slow.
foot. Yeah, he might have a slowdown or something here. He is flashing furiously. He must have got a slowdown. I don't know where it happened, but he drops all the way to the back end of this pack. That also helps Buenaventura stay relatively close to Turcotte as Himbro goes by Browder in between these two Division 2 drivers. So it will be for the race win and the championship win in Division 2 now between Turcotte and Buenaventura with the penalty for Elahi. This changes everything down here in this class.
Still got to think about fuel. This is going to get really, really tight. It's going to be a fantastic final 6 minutes.
The drama here in this final race is only just getting started. We're going to have a chaotic 5.5 minutes left to go in this race. And, you know, this race could go an extra lap. Based on the pace that Pecorini and Steinhoff have been setting, they could push this race to an extra lap. I don't think we're on the verge of it, but you never know. As here we go, Division 1 championship. Reister has fallen down through the order. He is now on the bumper, the front bumper of David Schwartz. This puts the championship back in Schwartz's hands.
I believe Schwartz had an issue on pit road earlier on, but he's right there with Reister. If Schwartz can just stay right there with him, that would be a really, really good thing for him. He just got to hold on.
You see the pit time there for Schwartz, 23.68 seconds. It was 24 seconds in the box exactly for Scott Reister. So not much difference there. I think you're right. Something went wrong for Schwartz, either into or out of the pit lane. And that's why he lost the time that he did, but he's kind of gained it back by Reister losing it. So really it's not end of the world at all for him, as Pecorini will lead another lap here. This is down into 4.5 minutes to go. They turn 1 minute 40-second lap times, and look at this! Perfect timing. Yannick Steinhoff up the inside, and Pecorini makes a mistake as well, right at the apex of the corner. So Steinhoff will take over the race lead, and the number 5 promoted up to position number 1 in the final race of the season. He has had so many connection issues. I don't usually do this, but I will knock on wood for him, because I'd hate to jinx it at this point. As pit stop, a big pit stop here. Division 2 race and points leader Dominic Turcotte into his box alone. Nobody pitting with him. Is this how he loses the championship?
Oh my goodness.
Jose DeLeo, Andy Ray Miller also pit. Andy overshot his box. You see just 6.5 seconds for Turcotte in the box. Just enough to splash and dash and cover these last couple of laps. We're on to lap 32, by the way, of an expected 35. Meaning we're at 4 to go. Possibly if ATVO's prediction is correct, and it's not always correct. Sometimes it doesn't account for these pit stops, and these pit stops could shorten the race by a lap, and that would certainly help drivers that are saving fuel like Scott Reister and Mitch Buenaventura trying to win this championship as this race goes on. This is just, oh my gosh, this is a perfect way to end this championship. So much calamity, so much chaos. We don't know who's going to win the race. We don't know who's going to win the championship at all with 3 minutes to go. This is going to be chaotic.
Now, if I was Bonaventura, I would be talking to my crew chief, telling me who is around Turcotte, because Bonaventura cannot run out of gas here. He cannot afford it. He has a little bit of a gap, but I would be on the radio with my team, communicating, figuring out who's around Turcotte. Is there any open space? Is there any positions between us? Because I can't let him be multiple positions in front of me. He can be one in front of me. So I'd be all over my team.
There's Souza exiting the pit lane. He had to pit again. And a lot of these drivers, I think, are going to come down to the final couple of laps and are just going to try and send it, try to save enough or power around the straightaway. I don't know. I don't see them all making it. They pitted a little bit early there in the first stint of the race. I just don't know if they've got enough to go to the end. It's going to be oh so close. Again, we're on lap 33 now of an expected 35, but we're inside of 2 minutes to go. So when we come around, I think we're going to hit 2 to go. I think this will be a 34-lap race, and that's only going to help drivers like Pecorini and Buenaventura right now. Pecorini for the win, possibly over Steinhoff, if he can pass that 5-car back. Buenaventura would be for the championship down in Division number 2. This is going to be a really... Brace yourselves. Viewers, get ready. This is going to be a crazy final 90 seconds to the season. There's Yannick Steinhoff. He's going to come around this time. And let's actually see what flag is displayed here. There it is. White flag brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. The final time around. I thought we'd have an extra lap. White flag, though, on the season. This is it. The final 100 seconds or so of racing in the North American Racing League in season number 8. And Pecorini goes right back by Steinhoff. That is huge for the race lead. Steinhoff loses that spot, but could get it back with the draft. The championship now in Division 1. Reister, Schwartz on top of each other, and right now Schwartz has the advantage. Buenaventura, I think, is going to have just enough fuel. He begins the final lap, and he's got Turcotte nowhere near him. We said it earlier. If you can swing the 1-stop, you have to. The 2-stop will not win this race.
One thing is, does Buenaventura have enough to still go around another, I'd say, 2.5 miles, I think it is, to go around here and have enough fuel to win this? It's going to be really tight.
We're watching Mitch Buenaventura here in the infield, but let's go up to our battle for the race lead. Eduardo Pecorini and Yannick Steinhoff spread apart by 0.5 of a second here. And you see, there's the snake. Pecorini breaking the draft as the white flag is officially out now. Brought to you by Whiplash Simcams. Final time there in the bus stop, but here comes Steinhoff. He's gotten way closer. This is for the race win here, the final time in season number 7. 1 car slow on the banking, I think, out of fuel. Yannick Steinhoff trying to set up the pass. A drag race, a draft battle into the tri-oval. Can Yannick get it? Yannick Steinhoff around the outside. Eduardo Pecorini onto the apron, but Steinhoff gets the win for the championship now. Michael Brooks, I think, is out of gas. It's not going to matter. David Schwartz will overcome that. Oh, he's out. He's out. He's going to lose a spot, but he's still going to have enough points. Schwartz should win this championship in Division number 1. And now to Mitch Buenaventura. No competition right now in Division 2. Dominic had to pit. He was 2 points down coming into this race. And Mitch Buenaventura is going to come around the final corner and the tri-oval and win in Division 2, not just the race, but the championship as well. Miguel Colon couldn't make it this evening. He called it in the YouTube chat. The 14 would win, and sure enough, Mitch Buenaventura, we overlooked him at Driver of the Day, but he wins here in Division 2.
What a finish.
And it's still not over.
Holy.
There's a couple of battles. There's Lucas Souza skidding to a stop. We've got a couple more battles around the racetrack. Here's a side-by-side. Andy Ray Miller out of fuel. Jose DeLeo will pass him. And that, I think, will be the final fight on the racetrack. There's a couple of other cars out here. There's Ismail Alahi. Couldn't make it on fuel.
Man.
He's going to come around and finish 29th, 9th in class. And Chris Winstone, the final car to finish season number 7. What it could have been for him. Got his first win ever in his career this season. Ends up empty-handed after an early spin that completely reshaped his race. And that's going to be it. Everybody takes it straight to the pit lane, tows right away because they're all out of gas. Nobody's got gas left to celebrate. They're all out of gas now. So everybody tows back to the pit lane, and we'll take a look back at your unofficial race results here in a moment. One thing I do want to do before we look at the results, we missed the pass for the win, and I want to see if we can find that. This is just after the checkers for Pecorini and Steinhoff, but we missed the almost pass for the win. I want to see that and then set the final lap up. It was Pecorini in turn 1 going by Steinhoff. And Zach, this was huge in the moment. So here it is. There's the white flag. We were on the flag stand camera for this. What happens? Pecorini late on the brakes. Maybe I went one lap too far back. Hang on. I thought I had it. Take a look here. Might have been one lap prior. We'll fast forward a little bit. Bear with me. You just watch the fast forwarding. It's fine. This should be the white flag then. Yes, it is. There's the move. He just dives alongside the 5 car. I don't know how he made that stick, but I think Yannick then was licking his chops because he knew Zach. He could do exactly what he did at the end of the race and just draft back to him.
That was exactly what I was just about to say. I really think... Oh, sorry, I forget. I'm sorry. Names are hard. It's kind of hard to do this on a screen. But, yeah, there it is. Yannick Steinhoff, I really think he knew he had this pace. I think he's been practicing it the whole time when he was behind Eduardo. He doesn't have to be leading. He doesn't want to be the leader because you're having that air that you're not breaking up. So I really think he planned that to lose the position, and he's still in distance. And I really think the race for Eduardo Pecorini was lost out of turn 2. Speedway turn 2, I should say, because he snaked. Steinhoff didn't. Steinhoff held his line. That just brought Steinhoff so much more closer than what it would have done if he didn't snake.
What a great race. It has been confirmed by Scott Reister. We knew it based on where he finished, but Scott will lose the championship. David Schwartz, with 0 wins this season, I think he might be the first to do it in the North American Racing League, will win the championship. And then this was the race-winning move by Yannick Steinhoff to get a second win on the season. And now that Ride Sim Sport team wins 5 out of 8 races when they missed the first one. That is incredible. See the door bang there to the stripe. And Yannick wins by this much across the stripe. Let's see if we can get... do we have a start-finish line camera? I thought we did. Maybe not. Regardless, we'll pause it here at the stripe. That is how close it is.
Oh, my.
I thought I had a better camera for this. Hang on. Surely I do. Well, that'll work. That's how close it is for the final race of the season.
That was amazing for that last lap to watch them two battle it out. Wow.
That is sheerly... I don't have the word for it. That's just incredible. The whole race to come down to that here at Daytona is just spectacular. And this is the excitement we've seen from this series all season long. But let's take a look at those unofficial race results. And traditionally, at the end of the results screen, we would end the vote for driver of the day. But we have a very unique situation, Zach, because nobody has voted. Nobody watching.
What are you guys doing?
Yet. Nobody has voted for driver of the day. And maybe we missed it a little bit because of the fuel strategy, and we didn't expect the race to be shortened by a couple of laps there. But we've still got to vote for driver of the day. We still have to award it to somebody, and nobody has voted yet. Turcotte is available. The Pecorini is available. Pecorini nearly won the race. We kind of missed it. Steinhoff maybe should have had a nomination there, but he's won a race already. So, anyways, let's see. We had Souza was nominated, the 31. We had the 47 of Pecorini nominated. Oh. Let me actually hang on. It's some are saying they voted. I'll hit refresh on the page and see if that fixes it. Because I'm not seeing a single vote here.
Oh no, Andrew.
Well, I'll work on that here in a second. Let's go through the race results though. Maybe YouTube is breaking this evening. We might not have a driver of the day because of that, but let's go through the unofficial race results. Yannick Steinhoff, a very impressive 15/1000th of a second victory. Last second pass there on Eduardo Pecorini. Adam Brockway third, Bruce De Carvalho fourth, Paulo Godai fifth. That's your final top five on the season. Samsoy just out of that top five as he gets across the line by mere feet over Michael Brooks for sixth place. Scott Reister does get to the line there ahead of David Schwartz, but not by enough to win the championship. David Schwartz will take a final top 10 on the season in car number 100, will take no wins on the season, but still win the championship this season in season number 7. That is incredible for David Schwartz. I don't think I've ever seen that in this league before, so tip of the cap there. And we'll move on here, Zach. Here's the 11 through 20th spot.
At 11th was Thomas Rayleigh, and 12th was Edgar Ruiz. 13th was Reynolds. 14th was Ulrich. 15th, Kimbrough. 16th is Browder. And 17th, which was the first Division 2 car, was Mitch Bonaventura. And then Ignacio Castellini, Lucas Souza, and Kevin Peake, which is another Division 2 car, finishing in 20th.
So here's what I'm going to do. Oh, well, there we go. The vote. Okay, the vote worked. That's strange. It didn't display anything. But the vote ended maybe 30 seconds early now because I went ahead and ended it, expecting to have to remake it. Lucas Souza will win driver of the day, and I think that's a great choice. He wins it over Dominic Turcotte, Ismail Elahi, and Eduardo Pecorini. That is a good way, I think, for that to end. While we missed it a little bit, admittedly, on the nominations because we didn't know what was going to happen, Zach, I think that's a very deserving winner of Driver of the Day honors. It will be Lucas Souza this evening. Let's move on to the next page of the results. Ken Copeland. Oh my gosh, the heartbreak there. Whatever happened in that International Horseshoe on lap 1 completely unraveled his season that started with a win back at VIR. He finishes 21st, just ahead of Dominic Turcotte, who also had his season come unraveled by pit strategy this evening. Just couldn't quite make it to that one-stop mark. Lucas Finko 23rd, Alex DeMarco 24th, and Dean Kerr, Jose DeLeo, Andy Ray Miller there 27th. Mike Braun has to pit again. He finishes 28th. Ismail Elahi, what could have been for him? He finishes 29th over Craig Bray in 30th.
And 31st was Christian Gritzo. And then 32nd was Chow Trin. 33rd was Chris Winstone. 34th, Scott Angelo. So Scott Angelo was the first car one lap down, and behind him was Robert Guadagnoli. And early retirements of Santiago Serini and Kevin Gill and Daniel Kavanagh.
That wraps things up for the final race of the season. All 38 cars there in your results. Daniel Kavanagh, man, what a heartbreak for him. I do want to page here one driver to the interview booth, and that's going to be your Division 1 champion. I'm going to see if we can get a hold of him here. David Schwartz, if you're listening, we want to talk to you. I'm going to tag you in the league Discord if I can. And it looks like we'll page him. But we will get to driver interviews right after we award the Driver of the Day honors, of course, to Lucas Souza. Congratulations to him. He ends up down the order, but what could have been as well for him? I think he had to pit again. Not ideal, but he still gained a ton of positions he had a ton of positions. He got as high as 10th. Ended up losing those spots, but what a race he put together, if not for the fuel strategy. And still, I think, a deserved Driver of the Day there. We'll move on, though, to driver interviews for the final time this season. Let's see, have we gotten David Schwartz? Yes, we have. So we will start off. Let's bring in the champion. Why not? David Schwartz will talk to us here after winning this season's championship here. Season number 7 belongs to a driver with no wins. And David, I'm pretty sure you're the first to do that here in this series. That takes a whole lot of consistency, always being in the top 10, if not the top 5. How did you stay so consistent so as to do that over the best of the series with no wins under your belt?
Honestly, don't really know. It was more about race management from each race, from one race to another. A lot of draft tracks this season, so it was a lot about learning, how to feel safe efficiently and stay in the draft. And I learned how bad I actually am at it, and especially here, and do too well today. So not exactly pleased with my performance, but just glad I finished the race and was able to win the championship.
Yeah, for a moment there, it looked a little bit scary, but Scott seemed to come back to you. How much of a relief was that when you saw the one car get bigger in your windshield?
Well, yeah, and at the pit stop, there was 3 cars kind of in front of me, and they were all kind of three wide, and couldn't see the pit box very well, so I actually stopped a little bit short and had to kind of ease my way up. So I was afraid I was going to go by it, but finally found it, but I lost a bunch of time there and almost lost the draft. So that was a pretty scary moment, but was able to push just enough to get back up to the draft and almost didn't make it to the end of the race because of that.
And we saw you run out coming across the line, but it was just enough to hang on to the championship by a couple of points there over Scott Reister. And you mentioned race management. What have you learned then over the course of this season, and what are you taking away here from Season 7 of the North American Racing League, which I believe is your first season with us?
No, actually, so I've run, I think, 2 GT3 series, and I've also run 1 Porsche Cup series with NARL. So it's not my first NARL season. I was Division 2, I think, for maybe 1 or both of those other GT3 championships. But yeah, but yeah, I was kind of a backmarker anyway. This is the first time I've actually been, somewhat competitive in this series. So yeah, I think it's just relax, work on the exits and just try to stay with the cars in front of you so you can get that maximum feel save. It's really more about the discipline, to be able to not race with people too hard when you don't need to, and just try to put yourself in the best position where you can actually race at the end instead of having to feel safe, which I found myself in that position pretty over and over this season, where I just had to back off, feel safe, otherwise I wasn't going to make it.
And final question before we let you go celebrate this championship, but what does this mean to Moradness as a whole? For M Squad to go out there and put together a season like this from you, of course, it takes a whole team to get it done, though. What does this mean to the team to get a championship win like this?
I think it means a lot. Moradness has supported the season, or supported the North American Racing League for quite a while now, so it's always good, I think, when a Moradness driver wins a championship here. I can't remember who maybe was the last one to do it. I know Ryan Kerr won a Porsche Cup championship. He was a Moradness driver then. But anytime you win a championship, it's big for a team. Just it does take a team effort. Behind the scenes, I got some faster guys that have helped me, get up to pace and kind of work on strategy and whatnot. Morad included. So and also biggest my buddy Dion Fialo. He's been really instrumental this season to kind of help me get up to pace and each week and be competitive. And I'm just glad I could finally do something for the team and actually win something. I usually when I get close, I usually choke at the end. So I finally got this one done. So I'm pretty happy.
The top 10 them to death. Congratulations on the season championship, and hopefully we see you in season 8 whenever that happens. Hopefully this later this year. But once again, congratulations, and go celebrate this one.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's David Schwartz with the championship here in Division Number 1 in the North American Racing League. Finishes 10th in the final race, no wins, and I think against all odds, Zach is able to take home this championship. We had Eduardo Pecorini in the interview booth a moment ago. Eduardo, if you're listening, feel free to reconnect. We'll talk to you. For now, then we'll move on down to division number 2, the other champion this evening, Mitch Buenaventura. You know, mid-race, it looked like a lot more of you guys would be short on fuel, and you were racing Dominic big time. And then you started to slow down, and it started to look like maybe the race would get shortened by a lap, and that's what ended up happening. But when did you have that feeling? When did you know that you could make it to the end on gas and you didn't have to race him?
Yeah, after the first stint, I saw him pit a lap early, and at that point, I hadn't actually, been fuel saving the entire time. So in the second stint, I knew just fuel save. I don't really have to fight him. We got into it a little bit on T1, but I think I almost crashed into us. I lost it for a little bit, but I'm glad I caught it. But yeah, I think after he pitted on the stint 2, I think 3 laps ahead of me, I kind of knew, just don't crash.
Just don't crash. What a motto there. Well, you come home first place for the win and for the championship. And I know you had the points lead coming in, but it wasn't by a whole lot. Did this race kind of go to plan for you? Did this go against the plan? What was the game plan coming into this evening?
Yeah, the plan was just for me to fuel save and kind of race that boring race and tuck behind. Good thing I had some fast D1 drivers in front of me, so it was a lot easier to kind of just tuck behind, fuel save, manage my tires, and again, try not to crash. So that's exactly what I did.
And we've seen time and time before Division 2 champions get bumped to Division 1. If that's your future, if you get bumped up a class, how do you approach that new challenge?
Yeah, just practice a lot more. I know I definitely wasn't the fastest in D2, so definitely practice a lot more and hopefully be a little bit more competitive in D1.
There you go. Mitch Buenaventura has been a Division 2 driver for a couple of seasons, grabs a championship here this evening at Daytona International Speedway, the World Center of Racing. What a fantastic way to get it done. Mitch, congratulations, and hopefully we're talking to you again soon.
Yep, definitely. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
Mitch Buenaventura there with the race win and championship win. We'll move on down to second place in the race. Overshadowed, but I think with many fewer blinks this evening, Kevin, it seems like your connection worked out this evening, and you come home a very quiet second place. How did you manage this race? How did you get home second place?
I don't know, man. It just happened. Fuel saving, I guess. Just couldn't get past Mitch. He's just so much quicker on the fuel save, but just happened, man. I wasn't expecting it at all.
I know you make it sound like the race kind of fell into your lap, but you have to be in the right place. You have to do all the right things through that hour-long race. You had to put yourself in the right spot, and you've done that the last couple of weeks. You did a fantastic job at Road Atlanta a week ago. Now you followed that up with a second place here at Daytona. I mean, things are looking up for you, and as we look forward, how excited are you to keep working at these positions, keep working, and hopefully get more of these wins, and maybe even go to Division 1 one day?
Man, I got to work on consistency, qualifying, all of it, man.
Well, congratulations. I know it was kind of a quiet race for you. We didn't see you a whole lot on the broadcast, but sometimes it's a good thing. I promise.
Yeah.
Sometimes that is a very good thing.
Yeah, I was just all alone. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Kevin. It's good to talk to you here at season's end, and hopefully we're talking to you in Season 8.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Kevin Peak, second place here in Division number 2. I didn't have any questions for him, Zach. We didn't see him a whole lot. I don't know how his race went. So, well, congratulations to him regardless, and just a fantastic way to end this season. A big shout out again to the series, the North American Racing League, Maradness, JS Consulting, Screw Compressor Service Incorporated, all allowing this broadcast all season long. What a way to cap the season off. Fireworks down the backstretch. Oh, so fitting for the fireworks on the racetrack. And, Chao Trin, he's got a good point. I think a lot of these rookies this season really shined. And whether it was finishing well or just having a clean race, a shout out to all of the rookies this season that came into this series for the very first time and took this challenge with ease. We didn't see many rookies be in the way or cause many problems. There was one or two here and there, and that was really about it. When you have a field of 55, 56 sign up for the season for 8 races, hour long each, you can have a lot of bad things happen. We didn't see much of that this season. This was a very clean season of racing. All of you rookies, I'm going to list off a few that I see. Yannick Steinhoff, Bruce De Carvalho, Michael Brooks, see Edgar Ruiz, I think, is a rookie. Thorsten Ulrich, certainly brand new to the series, and he got 3 wins. I want to say Jake Browder's one of the newer drivers, but not a rookie. Ignacio Castagnin's a rookie. Ken Copeland was brand new, I do believe. Lucas Finko is the new name to me. Alex Del Marco, I believe, as well. Of course, Chao Trin. Just Jose De Leo. So many brand new drivers here to the series. Santiago Serena. They all did a fantastic job. Very few issues getting into this series, getting used to this series. That's not easy to do. This is a very, very tight-knit group, and I think we incorporated these brand new drivers very well, Zach. And we incorporated you very well, I think, this evening, considering you were on a phone to broadcast this race. And I want to give you a shout out as well, Zach, for accepting the challenge and doing it with ease this evening. Thank you for being here. What was your first North American Racing League experience like?
You know, I like IMSA. I watch IMSA here and there. I really watch it for the Rolex and then Sebring. Sebring's my home track. I love sports car racing, but what I saw tonight was peak. This is how sports car racing should be on this service. I've seen other series and other things on this, but these guys, everybody I feel like drove with class, and it was just a fantastic way to end the season. And thank you again for allowing me to come into the booth with you tonight. I really had a great time at the World Center of Racing, and hopefully we can do this again.
That's the hope. Season 8 should be coming up later this year. Plans still being formed, it sounds like. But Scott, if we can lobby you for another season this year, we're going to. That would be the hope for sure. What a season this was. Season 7, maybe the best yet. We build on brand new and great experiences here with this North American Racing League. We look at the full season all the way back at VIR to start things out in March. Just what a season it's been. VIR, Portugal, Miami, Le Mans, Detroit, Monza, Road, Atlanta, and now Daytona. Just so many great races. This is an action-packed schedule. This was fantastic. As we look forward here at Pit Stop TV to what's next, it's a lot of the same series as May looks a little bit light for us. Really just focusing on Tuesdays right now as we move forward through this month. And Zach, you'll be in each of these races. The BRB Racing League, the Butt Kicker Cup Series here on Pit Stop TV. We have 3 broadcasts coming up for the next 3 races. Texas, Iowa, Michigan, 3 very diverse racetracks. How do you attack these? What should we expect?
Texas, we're going back to Legacy, Texas, and Texas is a really fun track. I know we were getting the setups all fixed in because I guess iRacing removed the setups in a patch they did yesterday. So Texas is gonna be really fun. Never driven Iowa, and then we go back to Michigan where I stole a stage win last season. I'm excited for Michigan, but I know we just got to get through Texas and Iowa first. But all eyes are set on Tuesday at Texas.
These next 3 Tuesdays are going to be a lot of fun with the BRB Butt Kicker Cup Series. That's our focus for the short term, but so much is left to come here at Pit Stop TV through the course of 2025, and you can catch it all here on our social media channels across the board: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and X. And we're excited to bring it all to you as the year moves on. Thanks for watching here this evening. It's been a pleasure. I want to give a shout out as well to Mason Hausman. Was here for 7 of the 8 broadcasts this season. Couldn't make it tonight, but did a fantastic job as a rookie broadcaster as well. And, well, you as well, Zach. The both of you crushed it this season. It was a lot of fun, and I look forward to growing here as we move forward with the North American Racing League. Also want to give a shout out before we go to Whiplash SimCam's ATVO, CC's Business, Cody Williams Design, Lucky Performance, and the North American Racing League. And you know what? I'm going to take Miguel Colon's suggestion, and I'm going to award the Lucky Performance Lucky Break of the Day to Edgar Ruiz. If we go back here and bring his car up on screen, he had that spin out of turn 2. He was broadside to the racetrack, recovered quickly, continued on, nearly finished in the top 10. So Edgar, congratulations. A solid job there, and got very lucky so as to not have a bigger issue there out of the S's and into the International Horseshoe early in this race. Of course, we saw Lucas Souza win the Driver of the Day honors. What a great way to do it here at Daytona. I think that covers things for the season, the final race here. Once again, thanks for watching. We'll see you all on the far side here on Pit Stop TV, and hopefully for a new North American Racing League very, very soon. Until then, have a great night.